Hare Krishna, Pranam dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining. So let's start with prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So Pranam, thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. So we are on verse 3 of this beautiful scripture, Sri Updeshamrit, Srila Rupa Goswami's Updeshamrit, that Prabhupada has translated as the Nectar of Instruction. We are on verse 3, and verse 3 is talking about the do's that we have to do, 6 activities that help in the progress of our devotional life. Okay. So I'll just share the screen. We can read the verse and then we'll continue with the purport and discussion. Hare Krishna. So would anyone like to read the shloka?
May I, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sure, thank you. Shloka number 3. Ussaha nishayat dvairyat tatkarma pravartanat sangatyagas sato rutehe shadabhi bhakti hi prasidyati. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes. Please.
उत्साहानिश्चयात् धैर्यात् तत्तत् कर्म प्रवर्तनात् संगत्यागात् सतो वृत्ते षड्भिर्भक्ति प्रसीद्यति. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Please read.
उत्साहनिश्चयात् धैर्यात् तत्तत् कर्म प्रवर्तनात् सङ्गत्यागात् ततो वृत्ते तद्भिर्भक्ति प्रसीद्यति. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Now let's read the translation. So these are the 6 activities these 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service: being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Okay. So now let's read the remaining part of the purport. We'll try completing this verse today. And yesterday we were reading about the verse where Prabhupada is quoting from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where it is mentioned that what is night for all beings is a time of awakening for the self-control, then a time of awakening for the materialistic people, for all beings is night for the introspective sage. So that contrast was drawn. And now let's move forward. So, Swati Mataji, you want to start reading?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Engagement in the devotional service of the Lord is the life and soul of living entity. It is desired goal and supreme perfection of human life. One has to become confident about this, and one also has to be confident that all activities other than devotional service, such as mental speculation, fruitive work, or mystic endeavor, will never yield an enduring benefit. Complete confidence in the path of devotional service will enable one to attain his desired goal. By attempting to follow other paths will only succeed in making one restless. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, one must be calmly convinced that those who have given up devotional service to engage in severe austerities for other purposes are not purified in their minds despite their advanced austerities because they have no information of transcendental loving service of the Lord. Shall I continue, Mataji?
Yeah, we can have Sudha Mataji read next. She has also raised her.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams. It is further stated in the 10th canto, al- although mental, sorry Mataji, 1 minute. Although mental speculators and fruitive activities, although mental speculators and fruitive actors may perform great austerities and penances, they still fall down because they do not have information about the lotus feet of the Lord. The devotee of the Lord, however, never fall down. In Bhagavad Gita 9.31, the Supreme Personality of Godhead assures Arjuna, Kaunteya prati janihi na me bhakta pranashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Again, in the Bhagavad Gita 2.40, Krishna says, Neha Vikramanashvasti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we have two more. Yeah, no, we have three more paras remaining. Let's discuss what we read till now and then we'll move forward. So, in this, the two paras that we are reading today, Prabhupada is saying that what is actually the most important thing for any living entity, that is engagement in the devotional service of the Lord. And that is what brings about the supreme perfection of human form of life. And this is something that we have to be very confident about because the world around us is trying very hard, or the world around us is designed in such a way that it takes us away from this conviction. But when we read scripture, when we hear from acharyas, then this conviction should become very strong, that we should not go after mental speculation, fruitive work, or mystic endeavor that will not yield any enduring benefit. Sadly, in today's world, if anyone is materially successful, then they are only, glorified, and people who are very rich, who've made more money, they are the ones who get glorified more. But actually, the glorification should be more for those who are able to renounce all these materialistic things and engage in the service of Krishna. So that is something that, is very twisted in this world, but we have to understand what is the correct path. And Prabhupada here says that complete confidence in the path of devotional service will enable one to attain his desired goal. But attempting to follow other paths will only succeed in making one restless. So that is what we see around us also, right? There is so much restlessness. If we see that, the development, the technological development, and the growth as such has been more. There are more facilities. There's more technology. There are so many more options for various things available. There's so many more gadgets, and so many. The world has, as like people say, na, it's become flatter because everything has become more accessible. When we were kids, there were fewer opportunities, there were fewer distractions, things were fewer, and food was simpler, clothing was simpler, our activities of entertainment were simpler. But now everything has changed. There are so many more options. But that has not made people happier. That has only made people more restless. And then Prabhupada says that in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that one must be calmly convinced that those who have given up devotional service to engage in severe austerities for other purposes are not purified in their minds, despite their advanced austerities, because they have no information of the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, not just materialistic pursuit, but even this pursuit to get, where we perform very great austerities, but our mind is not getting purified. We are doing all kinds of austerities, but it is just for maybe, getting some mystic siddhis or just on the level of mental speculation. If there is no love for Krishna involved, then all those things are not really going to make us happy. Okay. So Prabhupada says that, this verse in Srimad Bhagavatam is saying that such people are not purified in their minds despite their advanced austerity. So that austerity is really not serving a great purpose because it's not actually purifying our heart. Because we are not engaging in Krishna's service. And then further, Prabhupada says that it is stated that although mental speculators and fruitive actors may perform great austerities and penances, they still fall down because they do not have information about the lotus feet of the Lord. The soul will actually get true joy and true contentment when it is at the lotus feet of Krishna. So everything else that is taking us in all other places is actually not going to keep us happy. And that's why, even from that level, when one can reach Brahmajyoti, also from there, also there is a chance of fall down because that's not the ultimate joy that the soul is looking after. And Prabhupada is saying that, quoting this verse from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna is saying that, "O Arjuna, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes." So, this path of devotion is so strong that when one has come to this path, then the devotee never perishes. So even if we see sometimes that there is a temporary fall down, the devotees do come back. Sometimes when our sadhana is not very strong and we sometimes end up in bad association or we get derailed from our path. But one who has started bhakti, there is no loss for such a person because that bhakti will again save that person. For this, Prabhupada is quoting this very beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavad Gita 2.40. It's a very famous verse. I'm sure all of you know this verse. That there is no loss or diminution on this path, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So, do you all remember what is that most dangerous type of fear that Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport to this verse? What is actually the most dangerous type of fear that can, that is really something that is very scary for us now that we
Death,
are in this
death,
body?
Mataji. Death. Any moment
Uh,
we can die, na? That
yes,
is no.
Mataji, but death will still come. That will
Okay.
still come. So, what is
Cycle
it?
of
What is
birth
that
Fall
dangerous
in,
type?
if you fall down
cycle of
from
birth
a,
cycle of
If
birth
you
and death,
fall down
Mataji.
into,
fall down from our spiritual act, if we associate with materialistic people and we fall down, that is the fear, Mataji.
okay, yeah,
Cycle of
but there
birth,
is one thing.
cycle of
Yes,
birth
Mataji.
and death, Mataji. Cycle of birth and death.
Yeah, actually, Prabhupada talks about something very specific in the purport where he says that the most dangerous type of fear, at least at this level, is that we may get another body which is not a human body, right? Because it is only in this body that we get to do devotional service. So if we are on the path of bhakti, then Bhagavad Gita verses, now where Lord Krishna is saying that if one has done bhakti, then they on our next birth they get another chance. So that fall down to an animal or a plant or an insect species, that is what we get protected from because bhakti is so strong that even if we don't reach the ultimate objective in this life, we'll still get another chance where we get birth in a family where it is affluent or a family of pious brahmanas, where we are given another chance that where you left, you do bhakti from that point on. So that is how strong bhakti is. And in this purport, Prabhupada very nicely says that he contrasts spiritual knowledge versus material knowledge, because as you all know, when the body ends, whatever material knowledge we have, it all goes. In the next birth, again, we have to start from ABCD. But that's not the case for spiritual knowledge, because spiritual knowledge, if we have done 10% progress in this life, Krishna is so merciful that he gives us a chance to start from 11% in the next birth. Okay. Yeah, now let's read the next paragraph. Swati Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, Mataji. Devotional service is pure and perfect that once having begun, one is forcefully dragged into the ultimate success. Sometimes a person will give up his ordinary mental engagement and cut off sentiment, take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, and thus begin the preliminary execution of devotional service. Even if such an immature devotee falls down, there is no loss on his part. On the other hand, what is the gain of one who executes the prescribed duties according to his varna and ashrama, but does not take to the devotional service? Although a fallen devotee may take his next birth in a low family, his devotional service will nonetheless resume from where it is left off. Devotional service is ahaituki apratihata. It is not the effect of any mundane cause, nor it can be nor can it be terminated by any mundane cause or permanently curtailed by any material interruption. Therefore, a devotee should be confident about his engagement and should not be very interested in the activities of karmis, gnanis, and yogis. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, Prabhupada here in this purport, he's saying that uh, the same point that is in verse 2.40, that uh, when one has begun this process of bhakti, then it is so pure that one is finally taken to ultimate success. See, because one may start bhakti, sometimes when we are not very strong or we get allurements, we may lose interest, and then we go into materialistic life and we try to look for joy there. But because one has tasted the real pure joy of bhakti, the materialistic joy, it may seem attractive for a while, little while, but then ultimately one is reminded that no, something is missing because one has already received a higher taste. That is why Prabhupada is saying that one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success, because one will come back, because one has tasted the higher taste, the nectar of bhakti. So then the allurements, the temporary, the flickering joy of this world does not seem very interesting. Then one comes back. So Prabhupada is saying that when one has begun the execution of devotional service, sometimes a person may give up his ordinary material engagements out of sentiment and take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. Sometimes it may happen that, okay, we just get frustrated with life and then we come and start doing bhakti. And if in this immature stage there is a fall down, still there is no loss, because one has begun on the path of bhakti, it will come back to us and we will be taken to the ultimate success. But if we are just becoming very, very successful materially, in our varna, ashram, all the things we are doing very perfectly, but we are not doing any bhakti for Krishna, then there is no gain as such, because at the time of death, all these things will stop. So, although a fallen devotee may take his birth in a low family next birth, still the devotional service will resume from where it left off. So, devotional service is completely spiritual. It is not affected, it is not the cause of any mundane reason, and nor can it be terminated by any mundane cause or permanently curtailed by any material interruption. That is how wonderful bhakti is. And that is why we should really make a very strong effort, first of all, to execute devotional service ourselves, and secondly, to give it to the children. Because children, as they grow up, it may happen that if they move out of home or they get into a different type of association, it may happen that for a while they stop practicing bhakti. But if they have received that seed in their childhood, they will definitely return. So that is actually very, very important. That's why cultivation of children is so very important, because that is the ultimate protection we can give to our children, right? I mean, how as parents, as guardians, what best gift can we give to our children? Bhakti of Krishna is the best gift, and we should really give them an environment where we are not forcing them, but positively encouraging them to take up to bhakti. Okay, so that should be our effort as parents, as guardians. Okay, now this last section, Sudha Mataji, you want to read?
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna. There are certainly many good qualities among fruitive actors, philosophical speculators, and mystic yogis, but all good qualities automatically develop in the character of a devotee. No extraneous endeavor is needed. As confirmed by Srimad Bhagavatam 5.18.12, all the good qualities of the demigods manifest progressively in one who has developed pure devotional service. Because a devotee is not interested in any material activity, he does not become materially contaminated. He is immediately situated on the platform of transcendental life. However, one who engages in mundane activity, be he a so called Gyani, Yogi, Karmi, philanthropist, nationalist, or whatever, cannot attain the higher stage of Mahatma. He remains a Duratma or cripple minded person. According to the Bhagavad Gita 9.13, महात्मानस्तु मां पार्थ दैवीं प्रकृतिमाश्रिताः भजन्ति अनन्यमनसो ज्ञात्वा भूतादिमव्ययम्. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Since all the devotees of the Lord are under the protection of His supreme potency, they should not deviate from the path of devotional service and take to the path of the karmi, jnani, or yogi. This is called utsaha nishchaya dairya tat tat karma pravartanat, enthusiastically executing the regulative activities of devotional service with patience and confidence. In this way, one can advance in devotional service without hindrance. Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So Prabhupada here is explaining that who is a real Mahatma. And he quotes this Bhagavad Gita verse where it is stated that a Mahatma is actually a person who is under the protection of the Lord, and they are fully engaged in devotional service because they know Lord Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead. So such a person is actually a Mahatma, a great soul. And those who are just, Gyanis, yogis, karmis, philanthropists, nationalists, whatever, they cannot attain to the higher stage of Mahatma. They will still remain cripple minded or duratmas. And Prabhupada says that devotees are under the protection of the Supreme Lord, His supreme potency. So they should not deviate from the path of devotional service and take to the path of the karmi, jnani, or yogi. Now, this point Prabhupada mentions many times. Why is it? Why is that? Because we may think that, oh, acquiring knowledge is a great thing, having lot of knowledge. And what is wrong in cultivation of knowledge? What is wrong in desiring to merge in the Brahma Jyoti? What is wrong in having yogic siddhis? So the thing is that yes, these are also good things. If compared to an ordinary materialist or a sinner, these people are the yogis, karmis, gyanis. They in their different categories, they are better and they do have good qualities. But this is not the ultimate perfection of life. So if we get distracted by these things, then we'll miss out on the ultimate goal of life, which is achieving Krishna Prem. So here there is a story that devotees tell. It's about a person who comes to a group of people and tells them that I have brought these very wonderful fruits from a very nice orchard, and he gives them those fruits, and the people are, they're very tired and they are resting. So when they get these very tasty fruits, they enjoy it a lot. And then this person says that I can take you to that orchard from where I have brought these fruits, And there you can get unlimited amounts of fruits, very tasty, very delicious fruits. But you'll have to follow me, and you should not stop anywhere on the way. So all these people, they get very attracted by those fruits, so they start following this person. But on this path, it's a long journey. So some people just get tired, they just get fatigued, and then they just stop. They're like, okay, this is too difficult for me, I cannot go forward, they stop. Then some get attracted by, on the path, they get a very nice oasis. There is a very nice breeze blowing, and then, there is a nice lake, and they're like, this is enough, this is enough enjoyment for me. I'll just stop here. And then in this way, the story is a long one, but there are many things that come on the way, and some people keep stopping at every stage. But after the very long journey, finally, the very few people who remain, who actually are able to enter that orchard where they are able to get all those wonderful, delicious fruits. So that is our problem. On this path of bhakti, sometimes we feel it is too long, it is too tiring. I don't think I can make it. Some people just give up life for that. Some people get attracted by the heavenly planets. Some people will get attracted by materialistic pursuits, materialistic accomplishments. And some people, even when they've gone like way ahead, but they just get allured by yogic siddhis. Then some may get allured by just merging into the Brahman effulgence. So very few remain who actually, have that endurance to reach Goloka Vrindavan, where one gets the ultimate happiness that one could ever imagine. So that is the thing, we have to remember this story and tell ourselves that let's not get distracted by these lower enjoyments. Yes, it is definitely enjoyment, but it's still a lower enjoyment compared to the joy of bhakti, the joy of devotional service. So it's these things are there to remind us that what is our ultimate goal and why we should not get distracted by the lower things that a life can offer, that Maya Devi offers. So this is where the explanation, the purport of Srila Prabhupada ends. So now let's just do a quick recap of what we have read in this verse. It's a very important verse because it's telling us about all the do's that we have to do on the path of our bhakti. And let's try to remember one by one what are those six things. So you can all just unmute and say, what is the first thing that we have to do, or first quality that we should have?
Should be
Enthusiasm.
enthusiastic, Mate, enthusiastic.
Yes. So what is the Sanskrit for that? Let's try to remember
Utsahat.
both.
Utsahat.
Utsahan, correct. So we should be enthusiastic. Utsahan. Then next,
Dhairya.
The confidence, Mate.
let's go in sequence. Yeah. So Utsahan. Then
Nishchaya, Nishchaya.
yeah, Nishchayat. So Nishchayat is what? What does it mean?
Means confidence, no, Mataji.
Confidence. Yes, we should have confidence in on this path. So Utsaha Nishchayat. What is the third?
Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dhairyat.
There, yeah, yeah. So other devotees also please try to remember and say it. This will help us, have this fixed in our mind. So dhairya, that means we should be patient. And we should not get impatient that, oh, I have not received Krishna Bhakti yet. I'm not feeling those symptoms of Bhakti, so we give up. No. So, Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dhairya. Then what comes next?
तत्तत् कर्म प्रवर्तन्त
Pravartanat. Tat tat karma pravartanat. What does that mean?
acting according to regulative principles.
Yes. So, we
Shravanam,
should perform. Correct. We
hearing.
should perform various activities that are favorable for devotional service. Yes, Prabhu, you were saying something else?
No, Mother, that's it.
Okay,
So
yeah.
that is Tattat karma pravartanta.
Right.
Acting according to the regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing and chanting and remembering of Krishna.
Correct. Yes. So tat karma pravartanat, following of the various devotional service practices that were favorable for our bhakti. So utsaha, nishchaya, dhairya, tat karma pravartana. Then
Sangatyagat.
Tyagat.
sangatyagat. Yes, sangatyagat means
We should give up all these the non-devotee association.
giving up the association of non-devotees. So utsaha, nishchaya, dhairya, tat karma pravartanat, sangatyagat. Then
Satrute. Sato vrute.
sato vritte. What does that mean?
Following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas.
Acharyas, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. So, by performing these six principles, these are very favorable for the execution of devotional service. So, utsaha nishchaya dhairyat tattat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vritte shadbir bhakti prasiddhyati. Okay, so
Mataji,
just yes, Mataji.
it is Sangatyagat or Asatyagat? Tyagat.
I Yeah, I mean, in the flow, it comes like Sangatyaga. A Sangatyaga, basically non-devotee association is what we need to give up.
Yes,
Hmm.
Mataji.
Right? That does that kind of Sangha that takes us away from Krishna, Sangatyagat. That is the Sangatyagat mentioned here is the association of non-devotees. Sangatyagat, that means giving up association of non-devotees. Sangatyagat. So, just revising what we read in Prabhupada's beautiful purport with regards to each of these points. So, Prabhupada in the purport, he tells about all these six principles favorable for the success of devotional service. And when we started reading the purport, Prabhupada first starts talking about what is actually bhakti, right? You remember? Prabhupada starts giving a very beautiful description of what is bhakti and how to perform bhakti, why we should perform bhakti, who can perform, where we should perform bhakti. And to help us understand what is bhakti, Prabhupada tells us that this is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. It's not idle meditation. Okay, ideal meditation is where one is not actually doing any practical thing, but just thinking and just sitting and having this meditation. Okay, so that is for those who don't have information about devotional service, and it is the only benefit ideal meditation gives is that it checks distracting materialistic activities. That's all. Just idle meditation doesn't take us anywhere because our mind is very strong. It will it will definitely not let us advance that much if we're just purely depending on meditation, because that is not the path for this age, for Kali Yuga. So, devotional service is, Prabhupada says that it's a sort of a cultivation. And cultivation means that there should be activity. So, cultivation of spirituality does not mean sitting down idly for meditation, as the pseudo yogis teach, because there are many organizations which will tell you that just sit and then, maybe on a point or something on a dot or something like that. You just have to meditate on that, and with that you'll get self realization. But that's not what is recommended for the cultivation of bhakti. And then Prabhupada quotes the beautiful shlok that Prahlad Maharaj has said, where he is given the 9 processes of bhakti. So, bhakti means we should be engaged in some activity. And what are those activities? That is also given in our Shastra. Hearing about Krishna, the name and glories of Krishna, chanting of Krishna's glories, remembering the Lord, serving the Lord's lotus feet, worshipping the deity, offering obeisances unto the Lord, acting as the Lord's servant, making friends with the Lord, acting as a friend of Krishna, and surrendering oneself fully to the Lord. So, these are the processes that one should be engaged in if one is on the path of bhakti. And we read that Shravanam or hearing is the first step in acquiring transcendental knowledge. So one should not give oral reception to unauthorized persons, but we should hear from the proper source. So this was also This is a word of caution that yes, Shravanam, hearing about Krishna is important, but where are we hearing? That also Prabhupada cautions us that it should not be just, hearing any unauthorized persons. We have to hear from the correct source. Then Prabhupada talks about, why we should perform bhakti. Okay, bhakti is great. Bhakti, gives us freedom from this cycle of birth and death. But why perform bhakti? Because it is very rare. It is very blissful and it is liberating. So, if we know the purpose behind what we are doing, then that makes us our resolve stronger. And it's not like we will get happiness only when we reach Golok Vrindavan. Yes, that is the ultimate objective. But bhakti is so wonderful that it starts giving joy from the moment one starts performing it. That is what keeps us glued to the path. Because if we are sincerely performing bhakti, then from the very beginning we'll start experiencing that happiness, that joy. So, and it is very rare. We also read, right, that Brahmand Brahmite Kon Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beej. So that one, in the whole universe, one very lucky person, by the mercy of Krishna and Guru, will get the seed of devotional service. So it's not something that is very freely available and it is not something that is cheap. It is very rare. It is very, very rare. So, having received that, we should understand, what great fortune we got. And when we understand that something we have is very, very precious, that's when we'll try to protect it also. So, we have to protect our bhakti. Then Prabhupada says, who can practice bhakti? Anyone who is sincere can practice bhakti. There is no limitation, there is no restriction about one's birth or one's status in society, one's gender, one's age, nothing. There is no limitation, there is no restriction. Anyone who is sincere can perform bhakti. And where should one practice bhakti? There, Prabhupada says that ISKCON offers the appropriate setup. This organization is giving everyone a very wonderful opportunity where they can come together and they can perform the different limbs of bhakti. In the association of devotees, these things become simpler, these things become easier to follow. Okay. So Prabhupada is continuously stressing about, how we should be confident, we should be very patient, how we should do Shravanam Kirtanam. Then he talks about giving up association of non-devotees and following the footsteps of the previous acharyas. So some devotees say that these 6 points can be divided into A, B, C, D. A means attitude. A stands for attitude, B is for behavior, C is for character, and D is for direction. So, attitude, behavior, character, and direction. So, if we see attitude, what should be our attitude? This verse is telling that as sadhakas, what should our attitude be like? Our attitude should be that of enthusiasm. We should be very confident about the process of bhakti and we should be very patient about this process, when we are following it. So the first three principles are about our attitude. Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dhairyat, that tell us what should our attitude be like. So that is A. A for attitude, that is Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dhairyat. Next is behavior. What should our behavior be like? Our behavior should be such, this is about Sangha Tyaga, that is giving up association of non-devotees. Our behavior should be where we are not associating with the non-devotees. And the undesirable association is not just non-devotees, but there are categories that Prabhupada gives, karmis, jnanis, and yogis, and other non-devotees. So it's not that, okay, those who are just gross sinners, I have to just avoid their association. No, even karmis, jnanis, and yogis, their association should also be avoided because their motivation in life is totally different from our motivation. They want yogic siddhis, they want material enjoyment, they want to go merge in Brahman. We don't want to do all that. We want to serve Krishna. So that's why giving up the association of karmis, jnanis, yogis, as well as non-devotees. So we had, heard about attitude, behavior, and then in this behavior, Prabhupada uh, gives supporting reference where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that what should be the behavior of a Vaishnava. He is one who gives up worldly association. And Srila Narottam Das Thakur's reference also Prabhupada gives, where he says, Tandira Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas, that we should live in the company of pure devotees. So, giving up association of non devotees and associating with devotees should actually go together, because we'll be able to give up the association of non devotees when we are getting very nourishing association of devotees. Otherwise, because anyone needs some social interaction, we cannot just go to the forest and to say that okay, I am going to not associate with non devotees and all these people, but I'm not going to the temple, I'm not part of any association of devotees. Then at one point there is a very big chance of fall down, because everyone wants some interaction, everyone wants those loving exchanges. So if we're not getting that with devotees, then we'll start looking for it elsewhere, and that can cause a fall down. So that's about behavior. Then C stands for character. Character, this is the fourth item. That is tat karma pravartanat. Our character should be such that we are following the regulative principles of bhakti, Vedi bhakti. So if we see, when we are following the principles, regulative principles, that is the four prohibitions, which is yama, and then the positive regulative principles, that is niyama, chanting 16 rounds, etc. That really changes our character, right? If we give up meat eating, intoxication, and gambling and illicit activities, that changes one's character. That makes one's character very, very strong. So these activities, it's very, very scientific. When we are taking care of the do's and don'ts, it changes us as a person. It makes us into another person who is more, who can absorb bhakti more. So we should never think that, oh, okay, why are these rules and regulations required? Why can't I just chant Krishna's name and I'll become a bhakta? These rules and regulations are not needed for me. Why do I have to chant 16 rounds? I'm thinking of Krishna all day long. I don't need to get initiated. These things are not required. You know, Bhakti is just about, it's a matter of the heart. Why are these things required? These things are very much required because they make our heart softer. They make our heart a place which is conducive to receiving the grace of Krishna. So that's why, see, character, these tattat karma pravartanat, these following of the principles, they definitely help us become up into a person who's more favorable into receiving the blessing, the grace of Krishna. So that really builds our character. Prabhupada stresses on this point a lot. Okay, then the next point is about we did till character. Next is direction. In what direction are we taking our life? And that is Shatovritti, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. Okay, and this is very, very important because that is our pole star. That is what is guiding us. So the sixth item, Satovritti, devotional service means transcendental activities, Vishuddha Sattva, and there is no contamination of the modes. Bhakti is even beyond the three modes. And when we are following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, then we can expertly fill our 24 hours in such a way that it is filled with bhakti, it is filled with activities that are conducive to devotional service. Prabhupada says that the morning program, waking up at 4 a.m., then performing Mangalarti, chanting, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with devotees. In this way, there is so much to do. We have so many wonderful books to be read. We have so many wonderful lectures to be heard. our chanting is there. So if we fill our life with Krishna conscious activities, then we are directing our life towards Krishna. Okay, so just to recap, A, B, C, D. A stands for attitude, and that is the first three of the six items. That is Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dhairyat. And B is for behavior. This is the fifth item. That is Sangatyagat, giving up the association of non-devotees. Then character. Our character is built by following the fourth item. That is Tattat Karma Pravartanad. And then direction. Where are we taking our life? We are taking our life in the following in the footsteps of the previous acharya. So that is the sixth item of the six favorable items. So the A, B, C, D, it includes enthusiasm, patience, confidence, and giving up the association of non-devotees, following the rules and regulations, following in the footsteps of the previous acharya. So all these things, this A, B, C, D, we can remember, and that should be our guiding factor on the path of bhakti. Then Prabhupada also explains in the purport that why should we be enthusiastic? Why should we have, utsaha on the path of bhakti? So utsaha is required for doing anything, even any materialistic activity, any businessman, any scholar, anyone who is successful on a material plane also, they need to have utsaha. So then Prabhupada says that there are principles behind enthusiasm, and enthusiasm is not just a feeling, but that is shown through our action. And what should that action be? That action should be for Krishna, under the direction of the spiritual master, to attain the perfection in Bhakti Yoga. So I cannot say that, yeah, I'm very enthusiastic about Krishna consciousness, but then I don't do anything at all. I do no service, I do no chanting. That's not actually real enthusiasm. Real enthusiasm is shown by our actions. And that action also should not be erratic. That, okay, in the initial stages, I feel very enthusiastic. So I'm doing so many sevas, and then suddenly I just lose interest and I stop it. No, there should be consistency. Consistency is very important on the path of bhakti because it's a simple path. Bhakti is a very simple path. We don't have to do yagyas, anushtanas, we don't have to do fasting, and we don't have to do that very elaborate kind of deity service, which was our dhyana for millions of years. That was all for the previous ages. So bhakti is very simple, but it's not easy. And it's not easy because our mind has been conditioned for millions of births to just think about materialistic enjoyment. So, yes, we will face difficulties on the path of bhakti from our own mind, sometimes coming from our own family, sometimes coming from the world around us. There will be difficulties. But our enthusiasm is what carries us. So, we should be very enthusiastic. Any kind of seva we get, we should do it very enthusiastically, knowing that it is a great fortune for us that we get a chance to serve Krishna in any capacity. And Prabhupada gave this example of yukta, example of enthusiasm. In this, we read about uh, the the usage of everything in Krishna's service. We heard about that also, like Prabhupada's use of the dictaphone. It's just a machine. It's a machine which can be used for anything. But Prabhupada used it to translate his books. So we have these wonderful books. So Prabhupada would speak on the dictaphone that would be later transcribed, and then that got into these wonderful books. So we should not narrow our activities to, that, okay, bhakti just includes doing arti, chanting, offering bhoga. No, we have to increase our purview and bring everything into the service of Krishna, whether it is raising children, whether it is looking after the household, whether it is our work, everything can be Krishnized and everything should be Krishnized. So that is what our attempt should be. That was about Utsaha. Then dhairya, patience. We should never be impatient in executing our Krishna consciousness. And we should take instructions from our spiritual master. And we should definitely depend on the mercy of Guru and Krishna. That is what is going to take us forward. And here we read the analogy of the woman who submits to her husband and waits for the time of birth of her child. Immediately after marriage, she may have the desire to have a child, but it cannot happen immediately. It happens in due course of time, but she has to be patient. And here we also read about Prabhupada. He took up this mission of spreading Krishna consciousness and he was so patient. It was so difficult for him, but he was very, very patient. Then Nishchayat, confidence, this includes not having confidence in the other paths and having confidence only in the path of bhakti. Okay, we should have complete faith and conviction that this is the right and this is the best path. Other paths may look very attractive. A lot of our friends, family members may be following other paths. Doesn't matter. For us, this is what we are going to stick to. We have to have confidence in the path of bhakti. We should have confidence in our ISKCON movement. No matter what social media or other people say, we should have confidence in Srila Prabhupada's words and Srila Prabhupada's books. So we don't have to go outside our parampara and hear anything. Okay. So whether it is bhukti, mukti, siddhi, no, we don't have to go and follow any of these because there's no purification, there is no shelter there, and there is restlessness, there is a chance of fall down also. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that we should become callous to the other things, right? And then we read about that verse, Yanisha Sarva Bhutana. That is not, our awakening is not there. Our awakening is in the path of bhakti. This is where we should concentrate all our energies. We should have a lot of confidence in the path of bhakti because bhakti will give us the ultimate perfection. Prabhupada says that the life and soul and the desired goal and supreme perfection is bhakti. And we are assured of protection from Krishna. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. This is also something we discussed. That Krishna is our supreme benefactor. He's our best friend. Sometimes things in our life may be going on in such a way where everything seems to be falling apart. But if we have surrendered fully to Krishna, then we have to trust in Krishna's plan. Something good will come out of it. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. And this beautiful verse 2.40 that we read today, Neha Vikramanashasti, that it is this path of bhakti where there is no loss or diminution, and even a little progress on this path of bhakti can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So, what more can be said about the glorification of the path of bhakti? We can go on, but the ultimate thing is that knowing how great bhakti is, we should not get allured by the other paths. Bhakti is pure, bhakti is perfect, and Prabhupada says that once started, one is forcibly dragged towards success because once having tasted the pure nectar, one will again come back. And it is ahetuki, it is apratihata. There is no material cause, there is no imposition or interruptions. Material things cannot stop bhakti. Okay, it is so powerful and it is very productive. We don't need to have any material qualifications. Anyone who is sincere can take to the path of bhakti. This bhakti comes under the internal potency of Krishna. It is not under the external potency. It's a matter of the internal potency of Krishna. It is very, very strong. And following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, when we hear about their life, how they were so focused on the path of bhakti, even in times of difficulties, then we get more faith. Like Prabhupada's example, so many difficulties, so many problems Prabhupada had, but did he get swayed from the path of bhakti? Not at all. So no excuses. We are on the best path and we have to be sincere, never get allured by other things and sincerely practice what we have been asked to do. Okay. So that is text 3. We'll stop there. If there are any questions or comments, we can take that.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Mataji,
Yes, Prabhu.
right from 3 o'clock, you have given lecture about the nectar of instruction, 3rd chapter. So,
Yes.
how much you have gained this knowledge, Mataji? How without giving a break after completion of the river, not even a single moment break. Continuously, you are telling all these things. Yeah, Mataji, what you have done, where you have preserved all this, Mataji?
No, no,
It
Prabhu,
is
I
so
am just
difficult.
speaking what I've heard from seniors, that's all. And I'm actually trying to realize these things along with all of you. So,
Mataji, I do agree for your concern, and we are all blessed to hear this class. So we are all blessed, actually, to be frank with you. So how the Supreme Lord has recorded here, everything is hidden in your heart. That is the miracle, Mataji. Really, I am grateful to Mataji. You have no voice to tell anything else. You have no words to talk about this. So it's great. Great means
yeah.
if we hear the class again and again, there is no definitely we won't be fall down from Krishna conscious, Mataji. Hare Krishna. I am
Ah,
sorry.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank you for your kind words, Prabhu. This knowledge is in all our hearts. We just are trying to clean our hearts so that, we again are able to feel that love for Krishna. So we are very fortunate, Prabhu. We are in this very wonderful movement where there are so many devotees who've given wonderful lectures. So I just try to hear that and give a few points from that. And yeah, we are very, very fortunate. This is something that I try reminding myself daily that any kind of material problem that may come in our lives, it is, we still are very, very lucky because we are in ISKCON. So, yeah, we are very fortunate, all Prabhupada's mercy. And, all thanks to you all that you come and give encouragement so that we have classes for these wonderful books. So thank you all. Thank you so much.
And also one nice acronym, Mataji. We'll
Yeah,
remember this.
Mataji, yeah, actually, I was looking for a summary and I found this. So I'll share this in the group. It's there for each loka. So for 1, 2, 3, I'll share the summaries. So we can all go through that.
We are
Yeah,
very thankful to you,
yeah,
Mataji.
thankful to the devotees who have prepared this summary, Mataji. It's not my
But
summary. Yeah,
you
I
are
just
not
brought
your
it to
summary, but
you.
you brought to
Yeah.
us, no, Mataji.
Yeah, Mataji. So I'll share it in the group. So it's nice, it helps us that what helps to remind us what my behavior should be like, what my attitude should be like, where am I actually going. So I'll share that. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mataji.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Pramataji. Hare Krishna. Dandak Pranam.
Panchakalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha
Patitaram.
patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavi
namo
Namo
namah.
Namah.
Anant Koti
Koti
Vaishnav
Vaishnav
Vrinchi
Vrindi ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai.
Goswami ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Prabhupada
Shri
ki
Guru
jai.
Maharaj ki jai, Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Shri Krishna.
Jai
Hare
Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada. Thank
Jai
you
Shri
all.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See you
Hare
next.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Bol.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.